Hello, bridge builders! I'm here with some exciting news. The first volume of interviews is now available on Amazon.com. The link can be found at eatlunchandboardgame.com. I promise that all proceeds from sales of this book will go right back into this podcast and channel. Whether that is new and better audio equipment for the podcast, or video equipment for the YouTube channel, or even more games to review, the money will not be wasted. Click over to Amazon and get your copy of Eat Lunch and Board Game, the first course today. And thank you for supporting the show. This episode is sponsored by Fortuna Games, STL. Owners Will and Ashley have a quaint shop here in St. Louis City. They have lots of Magic the Gathering and Pokemon cards on hand, as well as board games and accessories, like card sleeves that I am always ranting about. Use coupon code ELABG10 for 10% off your purchase. If you don't see what you're looking for on their website, fortunagames.net, just email them and see if they can get it for you at fortunagames@gmail.com. Fortuna Games, for all your lunchtime board gaming needs. Welcome back to Eat Lunch and Board Game. I'm your host, Adam Collins, and with me today I have father and son duo Charles and Chad Massengill, creators of the game Stock Car Racing Team Game. Guys, how you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Doing good. Thanks for having us, Adam.
No, so Facebook and Amazon have me just nailed with their algorithm, and I was on Facebook one day and this game pops up and says, hey, Facebook thinks you might like this this game. And I'm like, well, I might as well click on it, because if Facebook thinks I need it, maybe I need it. And I clicked on it. It was your guys' game, and I read a little bit about the history. You had a post on Facebook or a link. I honestly don't remember. I just keep clicking until I wind up somewhere, and talked about the history of this game and how the original board is hanging up where?
It's hanging up in our hometown's history museum in Dunn, North Carolina.
That is so cool. There's a picture of that on your website or Facebook page, maybe both. And that's when I was completely hooked. The fact that the original board is hanging in your hometown's history museum is pretty impressive, pretty awesome. I'm not going to lie. So tell me, how did you come up with the game? When did you come up with the game?
I'm going to let my dad answer that question.
Well, I was an avid stock car racing fan for years, and I took Chad to a stock car race when he was 6, 7, 8 years old, something like that. And I played a lot of Monopoly growing up as a kid. And I got to thinking one day that I would like to make a game based on racing and make it maybe as popular, a popular game like Monopoly. And I just sat down and started doing some things and making a board outline, a track outline rather, and just started putting things together, and eventually come up with this. And we started playing it, and Chad liked it, and the kids in the neighborhood liked it, and we played it for right on up to this day and age. And this was back in the 1980s.
The 1980s, which doesn't seem that long ago until you realize, yes, it was that long ago. Because I was born in the 80s, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've just turned 40, so I'm like, oh my. So this game's been around for about 40 years?
Yeah, this is our 40th year. We started playing with family and friends on a regular basis beginning in 1983. I was 10 years old, and we played a series, and we would follow the NASCAR Cup series. If they ran the Daytona 500, we would play the game based upon the Daytona 500. And you set the length of each race. And every Saturday night we'd get together before the Sunday race and duplicate what they did. And we would keep up with our point system and have a champion at the end of the year. And we kept all the records from all of that back in the 80s. And we played for 10 years straight. Myself, my dad, my uncle, which is his brother, his wife and child. And we had other friends that would play as the sixth player in the neighborhood. People would wait outside to see who was going to play with us that evening. So it became a popular thing back in our hometown.
I bet. And if I remember correctly, you won this year.
Yes, we just we finished up our season in November, and I was able to win the championship.
That's the important part.
That's right.
So this plays up to 6 players, right? That's what it is.
2 to 6. That's correct.
2 to 6. Yeah, I played with 2 and 3 player. I need to get it out and get more people playing. But yeah, so this game, you had it sitting around for 40 years and then decided, hey, let's do it. What made you take the leap to take the game from your living room to the masses?
Well, when I was growing up, my dad, he contacted, several game companies, wrote letters. That was back before the internet and email and technology. And I mean, he literally had to write a letter and send to them or try to find a phone number if it was an ad in the paper about it. And we actually met with Milton Bradley,
I believe it was.
Yeah.
In Chesapeake, Virginia.
Yep.
Back in the early 90s, I guess, middle 90s. And we played with them or a representative of them. And he felt like the stock car racing was just too much of a regional sport, a southern sport, for it to be go over nationally. There was some things he liked about the game, but overall that was the big question he had: could it be nationally? And of course, in the late 90s and then in the early 2000s, it did become national. But
sure
I don't think they were looking anything like what I had.
And they weren't interested in board games at all, really, because the video game market was taking off so hot at that point.
Yeah.
And they were not interested in it. And now things have come full circle, and board games are now nostalgic, and people are loving them. I can see behind you, you've got a lot of them. So
I've got a few.
But they did like the play of the game. They really, really loved it, and we played with them. We played a full race, and they liked it. And plus they wanted us to put in $100,000. They might as well have said $10 million. So that wasn't going to happen.
No, I can imagine not. So have you played other racing games?
Yes, I've purchased, just as far as I know, every racing game that's been on the market about stock car racing. There's been about 3, maybe 4. There was one game that was called the Richard Petty racing game that was made. It was made by a man that's in our area, really. And but those games just did not have it. It was not really I mean, you couldn't really sit down and play it and you feel like you were racing. And what I came up with, I tried to incorporate as close as I could everything that was in a real racetrack, in a real race. The 6 cars, each player having a team of 6 cars in order to have a full field of 36 cars and 6 lanes to race in, and a unique dice that was represented the car number on top of the car that would tell you which car to move. And then the regular die would tell you how many spaces to move. And you could go in under green flag racing, you could go under caution flag racing, and pick up tires through the pits. And you had to earn tires going into pits in order to give up tires to get to the start finish line to take the cars off the track. And
To complete the race.
You've seen that. So.
Oh yeah. No, I really liked the team aspect of it because that was something original that I hadn't seen. My son and I like to play a lot of racing games. We have a bunch of racing games, and so obviously when this one came out, I was drawn right to it because I'm like, I like racing games, and I like that each car or each team has 6 cars, and each one of them has a different number. And whether it's 61 or 6, when you roll the 6, you move the car that has that corresponding number. And that was a whole different idea, which I really liked. And then you have the decisions of whether or not to take the pits or to keep going. And you've got to, or in my case, you just keep under caution all the time and then nobody moves and got to get your tires, which I have no problem getting the tires as much as I have the problem just getting the cars to go all the way around the track and not down pit lane and have to go around again. But no, it's a very intriguing game. I talked to Chad. I don't know. It's been a while back now, about the cars, which are some of my favorite pieces I've ever had in a game, are these little cars. And I asked Chad where you got them, and it's an interesting story. Where did you get all these little cars?
Well, when my dad made the game originally, he made them out of popsicle sticks, out of wood. He would cut them and even trim and sand them down where the front bumper had a round edge, and then he had the cockpit on top, which is just basically a little piece of wood cut into a square. And but we couldn't do that and manufacture and sell this game. I mean, we would still be making
popsicle sticks.
Exactly. So I mean, it was okay if you made one set like that. But that was the big dilemma in producing the game. That was the thing that was holding us back. That's the unique thing about the game. It comes with 36 race cars. Most board games do not come with that many pieces. And we found a company just by browsing through the internet one day that had little race cars that go into like a bubble gum machine where you put a quarter in. I don't know what you call them, but you turn the handle and it comes out in a little capsule. And it was for children. And I thought these would make great cars. We were able to buy those in bulk and at a price that would make sense, that wouldn't be, to put us out of our price range as far as wanting to sell the game.
Sure.
All the other options we had, it would cost over $1 per car.
Yeah.
No way.
No question. No
yeah,
question.
Yeah, we're out. So the whole situation was done and over with because of that until we found these cars. Well, I called the company and said, "Are you going to have 30,000 of these cars?" And they had like 400,000 units. And I'm like, I need 30,000. So we ordered the cars. They're in boxes lined up in my dad's stairway at home, where because every time we sell a game, we go in, we put them in the box because they don't come in the box when we had it produced. So we have to open each box, put the rule book in, and put the cars. My dad puts the numbers on the cars himself. He does it by hand, and my mother packages them up real neatly. We don't have the patience for that neatness that she does, but she does a good job of doing that. And then my dad keeps a postcard where every game is different. Every game has different numbers. So if you ever lose a car, We have a record of it. You tell us the number on your box, and we'll mail you a replacement at no cost if you lose one or something like that.
Because there's so many different styles of bodies too, like 2 or 3 different body styles.
Yeah.
And then there's the different, there's what?
There's 3 different body styles.
Okay, yeah, 3 different body styles, 6 different colors, and each one has its own number. It's incredible. And then you've got the pace cars. So you got the 2 pace cars. At least I have 2 pace cars. I have a gold and a silver pace car, which gets a lot of work out when we play. And and then the dice, and then you've got the cards and the box. I mean, or the board. That's about it. It's a very component light game, except for the 36 cars, which I'm glad you were able to find a way to buy them in bulk so that you could make this game at a reasonable cost. Because I understand completely that what would happen if you had to pay $1 a car. That, even that's $36. You couldn't sell this game for 125, 145 bucks to make your money back. You just couldn't do it. So I'm glad.
We might have sold a few, but certainly wouldn't have sold what we have today. That's for sure.
So talk about that. Where do you sell your game mainly?
Mainly is on our website, and then just at events where we go and we set a tent up, and we're going to a convention in March in Raleigh, North Carolina, which is where we're from. We go to racing events, and there's a speedway called Wake County Speedway south of Raleigh, North Carolina, and we're a sponsor out there. We go and set up our tent a few races a year, and that's at racing events is where we have our most success. But social media helps out. Programs like you're doing here helps out, and people find out about it. But we're still new to it, and a lot of people haven't heard about us. And we're not a major player. We know that. We sell these things out of the back of our pickup, but we're hoping that eventually we'll get to that stage.
Sure. The selling at the racing events is such a good idea, and because I sell my game mainly at farmers markets. That's where then craft shows and stuff like that. So very similar sales strategy that you guys are using. Go to the people that they're there to buy. They're there to enjoy a car racing, a car event. Why not take a car game home with you? Makes perfect sense to me. So I always see you guys posting pictures of being out there, and I like the way. I also like your social media where you post a picture of a stock car race and then recreate it with the cars on the track. So that's always fun to watch as well. But yeah, I mean, it's such a fun game. It's such a fun idea. It's awesome that you guys did it and are, I've had my own game out for 3-4 years, and I'm still new to it. I'm still learning. I know that I'm not Hasbro, and I know that I'm not gonna have a huge sale, but I still keep going off, keep going after it. You never know. You also meet fun people like you guys who are also learning, and that's a lot of fun. So when you guys play this game, you field a whole field of 6. What color are you, Chad?
I have been the blue cars ever since I started in 1983. And
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yep, and the reason I'm blue is because I was a Richard Petty fan. Well, my dad too, but he let me have the blue cars, and my dad has kind of gone back and forth with different colors. He was white for a while, then he would go to green, and currently he's racing the yellow team. But he's always kind of bounced around from 2 to 3 teams.
Was it the Kyle Petty or the Kyle Petty and the Richard Petty? So the Kyle Petty had like the mellow yellow car. So Wasn't that him?
Well, Kyle did drive the mellow yellow car, but Richard Petty was the blue and red
STP.
STP,
Yeah.
and
Number 43.
yep, the number 43, and that was the car that travels in the fourth lane is the 43 because the first digit being 4. So when we get together, I mean when we wear our colors. I mean, I'll wear something blue, and my dad will wear something yellow or green, depending on which cars he's running. So
That's awesome.
yeah, we take it serious, man.
Well, and as you should. I mean, come on.
I have a racing jacket, an original racing jacket from one of the crew members from one of the teams, and I have that because we race on the computer with a computer racing, where you race on the different tracks with a steering wheel and gas and brake pedal and all that. I have that. Well, Chad has it. I have it now. And,
Yeah, he wears he'll wear an original pit crew shirt when we play the game. And my uncle, he has one too. He's orange, and he always wears an Orange Crush shirt.
Yeah, I race as the orange, and I don't mind racing as the red. But if I'm not one of those two colors, I'll forget what color I am out there, and I'll be moving the wrong cars. So,
now, I'll tell you another thing as far as the car colors go. You know, when my dad made this game, there was red, orange, green, blue, yellow, white. Well, that was long before Dale Earnhardt came around and drove the black number 3. So we had a lot of people want black cars. You know, they wanted that black number 3. So we have a lot of demand for it. So we started, the cars that we order don't have black. So my dad has to hand paint them if people want them. And we sell those as an accessory where you can trade out the white cars for the black. And like if you have white pit stalls down pit road that you land on, you just simply use those pit stalls, and you have the black number 3. And we call it the Intimidator 6-pack. And we sell those in addition for $10 extra. And that's on our website as well. And a lot of people ask about that.
So what is your website?
It's the stock car race. It's stockcarracingteamgame.com.
Love
it. Just like it says on the box, stockcarracingteamgame.com.
Nice. It makes it easy.
Yep.
Keep it simple. So that's what we always do, right? You don't want it to be complicated or creative or fancy. That's how you get people don't know how to find you. That's right. Awesome, though. I didn't see that Intimidator. I was a big Dale Earnhardt fan for a long time, and then I kind of got out of watching stock car racing and racing in general. But definitely keep buying the games. I have so many IndyCar games, and I've got a game from the '60s called Regatta, where you were racing boats in the wind. So the wind. And the way you move the boat in the direction with the wind and your sail I'm like, this game is ridiculous. It's fun, but man, I'm like, I have a game where I'm racing sailboats. That's
yeah.
So
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I saw your game, I was like, man, I need it. I need another racing game. Why not? We play a lot of Formula D is the one that we play a lot of, where you have the cars are like, I mean, what are they? Half an inch by quarter inch or something. They're very small.
Yeah.
And that was actually my son's favorite game for a long time. And so when I told him, I'm like, hey, you got another racing game coming in the mail. And he's like, really? Like, oh yeah. So when this one showed up, like I told you, he ran off with the rule book, and thank goodness she had the Word doc so I could read it, because he ran off with the rule book so he could figure out how to play it. And I come home and he's got the whole board set up and cars ready to go. And
yeah,
we sat down and played, because it takes a little time. I'm trying to think how long it took. The two of us took about 40 minutes, and then 3 of us took about 50 maybe. So be kind of hard to
You mean to play the game
yeah,
okay.
to play it.
Yeah. Yeah, and another unique thing about the game, as you know, is you can set the distance.
Yeah.
There's 6 different distances, 100 through 600 miles. And we like the Daytona 500 is coming up in a couple of weeks. We're going to get together next weekend and play our version of the Daytona 500. 5 of us. It'll take 3 hours, just like the real thing, to play that game. Now, if you're new to it, it'll take longer because of the learning curve.
Yeah.
And there's some intricacies to it and some strategy that you got to employ. But the more you play the game, the better it gets and the quicker it gets, and you just fall in love with it. I mean, I've been playing 40 years. I mean, you think I'd get sick of it, but I don't.
Well, you've got more than one track too. We talked about that before as well.
Oh yeah.
So I think once you kind of get this going, offering more tracks would be a good option for people to keep that replayability high,
Sure.
that sort of thing. So what other games do you play other than the stock car racing team game?
Well, since we've done this, I've joined these Facebook groups that have game Speed Circuit. There's a group called Speed Circuit, and I have learned so much about these new games that are out. Heat Pedal to the Metal.
Yep, just came out.
Yep, that seems really neat. And there's a fan base that actually creates tracks, and you can print them off of one of these websites where it's downloadable,
Yep.
and you can take them to like Staples or somewhere and have them printed. And the people that made the game don't even do this; it's the fans that are making it.
Yeah.
They took it upon themselves to do it, and so I would really love to get my hands on Heat to see what that's like. And a lot of these Formula One, we've got a lot of requests overseas. Now the shipping is so expensive that when they find out that the shipping costs more than the game itself, they back out. But I have several requests from Australia. I've had them from Switzerland, Sweden, Italy. Yeah, Italy.
I bet. Yeah,
it's big Formula One country out there, and these folks are just they take it to another level. I thought we were crazy. They love racing board games.
So what you got to do is you got to find somebody in one of these Facebook groups that lives over in Europe, and that you can send about 10 games to him in bulk.
Yeah.
So you save on shipping, and then use him as your shipping hub to hit the other countries. It is
great
cheaper
idea
to ship internally in Europe than it is here. So I did that with a couple. I had a lot of people that were really close together in a country, and I sent just one box over there to one person who then shipped it to the other 3 people.
Right.
So look into something like that, because that might help you out. And when we talked, I told you about you have the other tracks, get them digital, get them on your site. People will pay $2, $3, $5 to download it. And then, like you said, take it to Kinko's, take it to Staples and get it printed. I work in a construction company, so I have a full size color plotter.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're not listening, because I can print it off. I can print it off at work and bring it home.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, totally. And that's the other thing I wanted to say. This game has an incredible table presence. How big is that board?
It's 36 by 24, but it folds in 6 ways, so it condenses down to the box. But
It is huge.
Yeah, and that was another thing when we looking someone to print it for us. It was hard to find a company that would go past 48 inches. I'm sorry, 30 inches in length, and it just would not work. We had to get 36 inches out of it. And
it is a big board.
Yeah.
But you need it. You need it to have all the cars and have the space to have the cars go around the track. I mean,
right.
I do. Like I said, I love the cars. I love the board. It's just so big. It's colorful. It's vibrant. It is. You needed it, and I am so happy to hear that you guys pushed to make the game you wanted. Not the game that was cheap, not the game that was easy, but the game that you wanted. And that comes through because it all works. The cars are great. They fit in the rectangles on the track just the way they're meant to, because you got the cars you wanted. You got the board to be the size you wanted, so you didn't have to sacrifice a smaller track. You can have this big track, this 36 by 24 inch behemoth of a board.
Yeah.
It's awesome that you guys did not sacrifice anything and just went for it. It is so cool.
And I'll tell you something about the size of the board. Our first prototype for this game that we're selling, the blocks were a 16th inch too small. When you line them up, it's okay for 2 or 3 cars, but when you line them up and you got 36 cars, you start bleeding into other blocks. We had to go back and redo the entire thing. There was no correcting it. We had to start from scratch, but we were not willing to make that sacrifice.
No, like I said, and I'm glad you didn't, because the game is the game you want, because it's the game you envisioned 40 years ago. Thank goodness you moved away from popsicle sticks, because I'm sure your hands would be tired from sanding all those edges down. But man, it is a lot of fun to play. It does kind of have a steep learning curve. You and I talked about that. You've made some videos on YouTube to help explain some of the finer minutia of the game. But man, it is a lot of fun. What?
Appreciate you saying that.
Oh, guys, this game is a blast. I'm waiting for. Well, I got a family get together coming up. I'm going to take it back with me and get my cousins to play. We got a big gaming convention coming up out here in St. Louis in May. I'm going to take it with me to that convention and have it out.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to have it sitting on next to me. We'll play a game, get some people going. Because I understand the struggles of a small business, a small publishing company, but man, it's a lot of fun. Maybe you should sell some more of maybe you should make a Jeff Gordon car, make another special pack with like the rainbow car.
Well, that's a good point. And we do have people that ask about that, but the copyright issue is the thing that we have to be careful with as well. I mean, we can make a red car and put the number 24 on it and kind of wink at someone, and you can go and paint your own. And I tell you another thing.
There you go.
The 160, I'm sorry, the 124 size model cars, race cars, they used to sell a lot. Used to find them in Rose's and Walmart, places like that. It's hard to find them. You can find some at Hobby Lobby. But the contingency sponsors on the side of the car, there's little ones.
Yeah.
We use those when we paint our own cars up. We use those as the hood sponsors on these cars, and they fit perfect.
Yeah.
So you can go in and make your own modifications.
I didn't even think about painting my own cars. It's because I try. So miniatures is a whole other genre of board gaming that I try to avoid, because as you can see around me, I have a lot of board games, and I don't need to have a lot of little character miniatures and a whole lot of paint. My wife's only got so much understanding in her, and I don't think invading more of the house with paint is the way to do it.
Yeah.
But I never thought about you could totally just paint up your own team if you wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Yeah, the base colors are there for you. But,
that's right.
But this game, we wanted to make it as modern as we can, but also have that nostalgia of what stock car racing was back in the 80s and 90s, because it's not the same anymore. And we know that. But we'd much rather play this game than to watch the racing on TV today. And that wasn't the case growing up. I mean, everybody got together to watch the race when all the legends were out there.
No, that's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you guys coming on the show today. How can people find you if they want to buy this game?
Well, you can simply Google Stock Car Racing Team Game and find us on the internet. We also have a Facebook page. at Stock Car Racing Team Game. Those are the two best ways. We do have them on eBay, but they cost a little bit more on eBay because of the eBay fees. We have to absorb those. It's best not to do that and just order through us. But we do sell quite a few on eBay.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't have a lot of luck selling mine on eBay. It's on there. I had one sale in 3 years on eBay.
Wow. Well, we've had 5 or 6, I would say, since we started back last August.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing, guys. I highly recommend giving this game a look because it's totally worth it. It's unlike any other game you played. The table presence on it is phenomenal. Stock car racing team game. It's also got a Board Game Geek page. So as my son and I always say, if a game isn't on Board Game Geek, is it really a board game? You know, it's a good question. So it does. Look it up. As usual, if you guys want to reach out to me, it's eatlunchandboardgame.com, eatlunchandboardgame@gmail.com, and remember, board games build bridges. When you're gaming, why not be comfy? Go over to supportplayer.org. Click on the cards, pieces, and dice to get some merch. These t-shirts are some of the most comfortable I have ever worn. That's supportplayer.org, and there's a link on eatlunchandboardgame.com.